following show contains adult content. It's not our intent to offend anyone, but we want to inform you that if you are a child under the age of 18 or get offended easily, this next show may not be for you. The content, opinions, and subject matter of these shows are solely the choice of your show hosts and their guests, and not those of the Entertainment Network or any affiliated stations. Any comments or inquiries should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for listening.
What's up, Antman?
What's going on? Brand new board this week. So a couple weeks ago, remember I told you my board blew up like during the show and it smelled really bad in the studio? Well, I sent it off. They sent me a brand new one. I've never gotten a brand new anything like this. So I was like, oh, toys.
Yay.
So it's been fun getting it together, man. Hey, I want to like vent something to you. Like, I feel like I can lean on you and I can lean on the crew for a second. So holiday season, you know, and trying to be in a positive light and stuff like that. And there's a family that's in my community that they put in requests for charity. You know how they sponsor families every year, right? And they bring families, get toys and clothes and things they need, you know, every year for their kids. Well, this family signed up to be sponsored, and this the person delivering the gifts, the Santa or the elf, shall we say, was delivering the gifts. The family found out that the gifts, the clothes, the bedding, everything that was required, needed, you know, that was asked for, was gotten. When they found out that it was from a motorcycle club, they absolutely turned down everything and just walked away. And they have 4 kids, and these 4 kids now are, you know, as a father, it kind of tugs at me a little bit, and I wanted to share it with everybody because, man, in a time where we need to be united in loving each other and taking care of one another, and it's not their fault, you know what I mean, the kids. And so
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I'm sorry. I was like, man, you know, I really want to talk about this because, you know, RA Nation is really a big united thing, and we care about our community, our people, the people that we hang out with and do interviews with. Like, it's not
Non-judgmental.
yeah, you know, it's not just a lip service. You know, we really care about what we do and how we do it. And I wanted to share that with you guys because I knew there were families out there that listen to the show before, after, and during our show that are in need, that have needs, and I just want you guys to know, man, that you have to keep your heads up, man. We're always around. People who care are always there, and never, ever feel like you're alone in any time, ever.
Exactly. I definitely can stay and agree with that 100%.
Yeah, I just, you know, I wanted to get your take on it, Rox, because I know you're a mom too. You're a rock mom, you know. So I figured, you know, I mean, what are your thoughts, real quick?
So as a parent, you know, our job is to parent. We have to instill these morals and values in our children. But there's some flexibility in there that kind of reins in our own opinions, which others might consider or deem horrible or bad or great or amazing. I'm going to use this example for the Nike brands. Our family, we are against the Nike brand because, you know, they enforce their workers, you know, to be a certain ethnic color or whatever. So one of our children doesn't understand it yet. And we're not mean about it, and we're not going to turn down donations or anything like that. But we still have to instill these morals and values, and it goes a little bit beyond and above the basic of just saying no.
Right.
So there's that's a weighing matter. It really is.
It is. It
Uh,
is.
and
You
it's
know, and
hard to sit and like pinpoint.
right. I just think, like having, I think that's the kids, like I just think about like, yeah, I respect the beliefs, I respect the position, I do, but like to that 4-year-old or to that whatever year old who's not in that
And
mindset
not
yet, like
understanding that.
you're kind of curving it before it's even starting to curve. I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just a dad in this world. It's 2022. That's all I know.
In my so what I would feel like in that situation is that maybe something was a little bit extreme, and
Right.
maybe possibly I could be wrong, but um
I mean, who can say? I just like the whole principle, like holiday season, like Scrooge, a humbug. That's all I thought about. Wow. So tonight we're hanging out with Wendy Stuart Kaplan, man. So this is epically going to be awesome. And Roxy, you've got to do some work with her and kind of, in and around about. But I was doing some research, man. Anthropology is the shit, I have to say. And I'm excited to pick her brain about anything and everything.
yeah, she's an interesting individual, and she's one of those go-getters. She is powerful, she is supportive, she's very strong-minded, and a woman at her best. So we're gonna bring her on. Here
Yeah.
is Wendy.
Yay! Thank you for all the accolades. That was absolutely fabulous. And I'm so happy to be here. And Antman, thank you for your act of generosity during the holidays, wanting to, help this family. And you know what? You did the good. The good came from your heart. You did the act of kindness. And that's the best thing you can possibly do. Can't
It's
do
just
that.
frustrating, man. I guess it's just like I'm gonna be 40 and I'm like, God, we act better, act better. Like I hear my dad and my grandfather and all my Italian family like whap upside the back of the head with a wooden
Yeah,
spoon.
hitting you on this. But you did do a really great act. And you know what? What we learn, we can have an act that comes from the heart, that's pure, and it may not be reciprocated on the other end. All right. And you have to turn the other cheek, right? You both know that, what that means. You have to turn the other cheek and realize not everybody's going to get what you're trying to do. And in the universe, I believe that when you put out an act of kindness, it's well received and it will come back to you in twofold. And that's not why we do it. Okay. We do it because our heart has us do it. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate that.
So anthropology, everything you've always wanted to know about anthropology.
Oh man, I don't even know where to start. For everybody at home who doesn't know, I guess we'll start with the basics, right, Rox and Wendy? I guess we'll break them in slow, right?
Yeah, we'll break and flow. We're here to break and flow tonight.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. So break it down for us, Wendy, if you don't mind. We have a whole list of accolades, but I'd really like to pick your mind about this anthropology right off the rip.
So, I got my degree in anthropology, and the reason I did that is it really is a big part of who I am as a person, and it's behind a lot of the things that I'm into. Anthropology is the study of humankind, and humans have always fascinated me. And I've taken it even beyond anthropology. I've taken it to interviewing people. I've taken it to writing books. I've taken it to making films in remote areas in the world, right? I've taken it to the stage. But you see, all of those things really are anthropological, right? It's not just like about finding early human beings in Africa, like Margaret Mead. Everybody knows, from anthropology, the name Margaret Mead. But nowadays, anthropology is a much bigger picture, and it really encompasses human beings. And now more than ever, you guys realize how important that is, because like the last 10 years, we've all become like technical robots, all right, technical people. I had my sister I love and adore, but she started talking about community the other day. And her community is people that she, that like her tweets on Twitter, that she has started relationships with. Okay. And from an anthropological perspective, that's fine. That's great. If you guys follow me, you'll see I'm huge on social media. But as human beings, we cannot forget the human contact, the reaching out, how important it is for us to all see and hear other human beings in person. And that's something that just kind of got kicked by the wayside.
Yeah, I can agree 100%. And
So,
I think
yeah,
there's a certain level of anxiety now. Like, now that things are kind of starting to go out, now that social anxiety that was there once is like flipped into a different type of anxiety of being socially out there. Like, the who's got it now? Like, and it's prime example is being at the grocery store and watching somebody sneeze in front of you, and the 90 people that react,
we're like,
and it's like, oh, I mean, it's yeah.
okay, you know what? Along the, I am guilty of that. Okay, because I was on the bus in the city the other day. It was really crowded, and we have mandates here. You have to keep your mask on, and now with Omicron, everybody's double masked. So we're on a really crowded bus, and this guy just starts coughing into his mask, and I had the new variant already. Omicron, I've already had it. Okay. I knew that cough. It's different than the cough on the original COVID-19. This one is like, it's a liquidy cough. It's a loose cough. I know this cough. And that guy was coughing away. And this is so terrible, but I know I can share this with the two of you. I just wanted to go over there, open up the back door of the bus and escort him off. And I got to tell you, so did everybody else that was sitting there with me. This guy is coughing and people are pulling at their masks. Their hands go over their faces. And I thought to myself, you know what? If you knew you were sick today, you sound terrible. You knew you were sick. Why the heck did you get on this bus and subject everybody to it?
Right.
So going back to what you're talking about, social anxiety. Yeah, this has created social anxiety. Look at me, my reaction to that guy. It's like, oh boy, please get off of the bus. I don't need to get sick again. And neither does everybody else around us. But we are living in crazy times, absolutely crazy times,
So
nobody knows how to behave.
I have to flip that, and on the other side of it, I ended up with COVID and I quarantined for the proper amount of time plus some, and then I ended up getting pneumonia afterwards.
I'm sorry, Roxy.
And it's okay. I'm good now. Last week was really rough, though. I did spend a bit of a time. It was pretty rough, but I'm back to good. But I was cleared by my doctors, and I had this little bit of leftover cough. And I'm a mother, and I have to go to the grocery store. So I was in the grocery store, and I have a mask on, and it's just a little phlegmy cough that I had, and it was just 2 days ago, actually. I've been cleared completely, and
Right.
I cough in my mask, and I'm like, oh my God, are people like, oh my God, are they scared that I'm going to infect them? Do I say
Right.
something? Do I not say something? It was an anxiety on both ends.
Yes. That's what's happened. I'm glad you brought out what I call the other side of the coin. And, as human beings, what do we have to do to get through this right now? It's made everybody weird, bizarre. And I'm in New York City, you guys know, and things had really more or less returned to normal here. The clubs all started up again, bars packed, restaurants full. You only had to show your vaccine card to show you were vaccinated, but everything else was just the way it was before. And we were having parties and starting to live our lives. Oh my God, I've been performing on stage. You know how much I miss that? I do comedic parodies, songs that I write about the political situations in the world. I do stand up. To be able to go back and do all that again and have an audience. And then boom, the next thing you know, there's this yet another variant. Oh,
But you managed to keep it going. You
I
even
do.
though, you tell everybody about your YouTube cooking.
Well, yeah. Well, so as Roxy brought up, when I started March 12th, they shut New York down. And it occurred to me, this was in 2020. I suddenly lost every source of income that I had had for decades. All right. Nobody really thought about what happened to performers. What happened to us? Well, it came to a crashing halt. I had friends that had corporate jobs that they were just told, go home. Their salaries weren't affected. Nothing was affected. Everything that I did stopped, as it did for musicians, for performers, anybody in the arts. So I was standing in the kitchen. They shut New York down March 12th, March 13th. I said to my husband, who's the cinematographer on our films, I said, what the heck are we going to do? And I looked at him. I said, I know. We'll start a cooking show. And he said to me, but you don't cook. And I said, exactly. And that is where Pandemic Cooking with Wendy was born. And to date, we have 115 episodes. I plan on moving forward, of course, with the show. In the meantime, I developed 2 podcasts that came from, I had the following for that show. So I had the basis to start other things. But Pandemic Cooking with Wendy really allowed me to do everything that I'm about. I could put on my crazy wigs, my makeup, my bad jokes. All right. I was in my own kitchen and I could cook, which I completely hate. I totally and completely hate cooking. I live in New York. We order out here. As a matter of fact, I just finished my takeout dinner before I came on air with you guys. But I thought this is going to make a very funny show. And I actually did cook a recipe in all of my episodes. I picked really simple stuff. And that was also very, very funny. The key thing behind Pandemic Cooking with Wendy, somebody said to me that, it's not really a cooking show, Wendy. It's like a drag performance. I'm like, yeah, you got it. It's comedy. It's characters. We have a little task that we do. But the best thing about it was getting the comments from so many people in New York were sick in March 2020. We were hit probably the worst initially of a lot of places in this country. It's because New York is such a dense place. And the truth of the matter is, when this virus was here the end of February 2020, even maybe the middle of it, we weren't really told anything. It was only around the beginning of March that our governor said, hey, this thing is coming. They didn't tell you what the thing was. They kept showing you this graph, and telling you that you had to flatten the curve. I don't know about you guys, but I was really bad at graphs and math. I'm not a math person. So I didn't really understand what curve. We were told we needed these masks. And my sister, who's a nervous Nelly, had weeks before told me that this thing was coming and I needed these K95 masks. So I went and ordered them. And at the time on Amazon, nobody was getting them. So I had a stack of those. She also told me I needed to have food in the house because there was going to be problems getting food. And all of a sudden I thought, oh my God, what if our favorite restaurants are not delivering? That could be a disaster. So I went on Fresh Direct and I had boxes of these ready-made meals delivered.
We did that too.
There you go. You did it too. So I was so ready, but I wasn't ready because right up until they shut New York down, I was out every night in clubs supporting my friends who were singers, musicians. I went to the Merc Lounge the very night of March 11th. And the show Dexter, Michael C. Hall, he's got a band. It's got a really weird name. It's like Princess Butterfly Effect or something. His daughter named the band that. They were so great. And they were playing at the Merc Lounge and they had 2 shows booked there. So I met a bunch of friends there and we did notice the crowd was very thin. And then when they were finishing up the first show, we were going to hang out and they said, unfortunately, we're shutting the club down. This is it for tonight. And I looked at one of my friends and I'm like, excuse me for saying this, shit just got real. I'm like, they're shutting it down. I didn't grasp it till, everything came to an end. And then for me and Roxy, I know you already know a lot about me, but I don't know if you knew that by March 17th, I had COVID and I had it really bad. And my husband had it and my daughter had it. We were told in New York, stop riding the subway the end of February. New Yorkers, we're hardcore. We just live our lives. We go on about our business. Even now, I was just on the subway tonight, packed with New Yorkers. Every person has a mask on. Everyone's super careful, even on their little children. So, we're people about, we want to get the job done no matter what. So I had been on the subway, I had been all over. Then I found myself trapped in my apartment with this strange disease, and I call the CDC. For me, it started with losing my smell and taste. And my husband telling me all of those Fresh Direct meals tasted like wood. I was like, oh, come on. How could every Fresh Direct, they couldn't all be bad. And I told my daughter, because they were telling us we had to like isolate together. I'm like, we're not going to make it through this isolation. I'm going to end up killing them.
Yeah.
Okay. All he did was complain. And I lost my smell and taste. Nothing even tasted like wood. I couldn't smell or taste anything, and neither could my daughter. And I had this pounding headache. And I called all those 800 numbers, because what happened here in New York, and I don't know if it was like where you were, but in New York, all of a sudden the doctors disappeared. It's like the whole medical system fell apart. My doctor, I couldn't reach him for 3 days. And when he finally called me back, he said, you don't have COVID, you have a sinus infection. I'm like, really? He said, yes, everyone in your house does. I'll call in 3 CPACs. Come on, guys. How could 3 people have a sinus infection? This is the kind of stuff that really blows my mind.
And lose.
Right? I'm a smart person. I've lived in Africa. I've been around everything. I've been around Ebola. I've been around malaria. Don't tell me, an educated doctor, that this is a sinus infection. And then I called one of the Board of Health 800 numbers. I got somebody on the phone that told me the same thing. Oh, you don't have COVID. I'm like, my head's pounding. I can't smell or taste anything. And when I breathe, it's shallow. No, that's not the symptoms of COVID. So thank God my husband had a good doctor who he called us back, and he did a telemed interview. And he said, well, it's very obvious. All 3 of you have COVID and you have to isolate. But it was scary because nobody knew what it was. And you know what? I continued to shoot my pandemic cooking. I could not smell or taste the stuff that I made in that kitchen. And my audience told me it was all delicious. But I'm telling you, I was like putting in a dab of this and a dab of that. God knows the stuff I made was probably horrific. People cooked it, and they said they
as long as it looked good on camera.
Right?
Hey.
Oh my. That's strange. And I feel like doctors still don't know exactly what they're dealing with.
So let's like fast forward to now, right? So of course, I was one of the first ones to get COVID in March of 2020. I was the first one to get this Omicron, Thanksgiving. It had just gotten to New York. Although, you know what, when they tell you, oh, it just got here, y'all have to say to yourself, that's a crock and a half.
It's been here. That means it's been here for at least 6 weeks.
Right. I figured, I said 3 weeks. All right. But I was ready for it. And of course, for symptoms, I was out with a couple of girlfriends having Thai food, and I'm at the table. Thank God it was a big table, so we were distanced. And I sneezed into my arm, and then I put my mask on, and I couldn't stop sneezing. And my girlfriend said to me, oh, did you order something spicy? And I'm thinking to myself, no, this could not be the food. This is something weird. And we finished our dinner. I stayed away from them. And then I walked and I got on the subway. And I swear to God, this was like the worst experience. First of all, this is what you need to know. Why am I on a subway at 10 o'clock at night? There's no cabs. New York still, we're not back like to normal. You can get yellow cabs here, few and far between, and the Ubers here are gouging. Like to go like 40 blocks, $70.
Oh my
okay?
goodness.
Right, disgusting. And I want to say that anyone who's listening, Uber is gouging. So I get on the subway and I started sneezing into my mask, and I couldn't stop. And I just wedged myself in the corner. The corner seats in the subway are where the homeless. I was like a homeless person there with my hand over my face, just sneezing into my mask. And I'm like, this is unbelievable. And then, of course, when I got home, the headache started, and the cough was different from the first time. It's the very liquidy cough. As you know, Roxy, it's a different cough. But I knew what it was. And my husband, of course, got it, but a lot less than I did. A shout out. A lot of people on heart medicine, they get COVID. It's less than what some of us get because they're on steroids and they're on blood thinners, and it hits them differently. So that was something that I learned. He had COVID twice, and both times so much less than me. But this new variant only lasted 5 days, and I was lucky because it was between doing shows and public appearances and stuff like that. I had a little window, and on day 8, I was negative. I had like you did, Roxy, just a little bit of a post nasal drip and clearing my throat, and friends of mine saying, "God, you sound really nasal." But other than that, I was good to go. You know what? We have to do our thing no matter what.
Yeah.
You have to reach out to people, and you've got to be able just to do your thing.
Well, it's like I love everybody when we're all adults here. When shit really hit the fan, and we were really sticking our thumbs in our asses, looking around like, what are we gonna do now? There were a lot of people that were just like, oh, my government will take care of me. Oh, in 8 months they're gonna write me a check and I'll be all right. Like, I can't tell you the amount of people I saw on social media like that ran out and bought flat screen TVs with that money, and it was like,
I know. Right.
and I'm like, man, I got 2 kids under 5. You can send that over here, bro. I will put that some diapers, some pull-ups. Like, hey, got you.
No,
But
you're exactly right. That is exactly what happened. And you know what? To a big degree, that's still what's going on. All right. I have a place in Pennsylvania that I go to on the weekend, and I got to tell you, out there, it has spread, this new one. I mean, people are so sick. And our school out there is still against masking, even though listen, it is not the final solution to this. Okay, but it helps. And as people, you are your brother's keeper. You are your sister's keeper. You have to look at your neighbor and say, I don't want to get that person sick. That's not right.
Yeah.
So you know what?
On your shoulders.
Right. Do whatever you think is going to help. It's called being considerate. But you would think people learn something from this, but I don't know that people have. Look at where we are right now. And being that you brought it up, and I am into anthropology, I need to know what the hell happened. This is my favorite subject to talk about. Okay. Do not tell me it was a bat in the marketplace. I have been in many a wet market all around the world. All right. Now, if you tell me something happened in a lab where they're studying viruses, and by the way, that can happen not only in China, it can happen here. But we were very involved.
Yeah.
Very involved with that lab in Wuhan. We were. That is just fact. None of us really know what happened. But you know what? My husband's sick of hearing this from me. I want to know what happened. I'm writing a parody about it because I just need to know.
I can't wait. That's going to be great.
But do you remember that song? It was like One Night in Bangkok was like a year in any other place. I rewrote it. I can't give you all the lyrics now because I'm working on it still, but it's One Night in Wuhan is like a year in any other place. Listen, none of us even who heard of Wuhan when this first came out. I think it was like on a Chinese food menu. And then all of a sudden, something happens in this place called Wuhan that takes the world. The world's been taken out. The world's been taken out. This is like everywhere. And our lives have all been turned inside out and upside down. And Antman, that's why I go back to you. Bless you for trying to do something for this family. Okay, because you are a person after my own heart. What I've learned, none of us here can change the world. We can't. But we can affect individual people with individual acts. And that is something that's awfully powerful that each of us has the ability to do.
Yeah, it's frustrating to me because I'm like, I feel like I'm so old fashioned. Like I'm 38, but I'm like the old 38. Like I still have manners and respect. I still say yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. Like there are people that get blown away. Like the fact that I hold open a door for a lady, like she'll be walking and it's raining and I'll hold the door open for her, and her boyfriend or husband will look at me like, what are you doing? I opening the door. What? I mean, come on, dude. And I'll pull up when it's raining. I'll pull up to the door for my wife at the store. I put the emergency flashers on and get out and open the door. That's the kind of stuff. And then
I love that. And you know what? That's just basic. It's a thing called respect.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And that's something all of us need a lot more of in our world. Yes. I mean, in New York, as much as things were, had returned to normal, there's always like been a bit of an attitude here. Well, that attitude and anger, there's a lot of anger really went through the roof. And
Yeah.
also where I go in Pennsylvania, oh my God, rage, absolute rage and anger and people fighting. Let's talk about social media. People go on there, keyboard warriors. They say stuff. They say stuff like not based on anything.
There's a couple in the chat.
Oh, are there? Oh, I see.
There's one in the chat. I'll put them out right there. But the one thing touching on social media, I won't swing negative. We'll keep it positive. I did see some epic social media profiles from people that are hanging out their windows, singing, playing their instruments down New York long hallway, like apartments, like
Totally.
people just like singing and like I was like, wow. That's happening there. Why isn't that happening here?
Okay, so that's actually a really great point because it happens a lot here. Still on the street corners, musicians are out there playing, and that is something that happened during the whole thing and is still happening. Let me tell you, some of the best music you'll hear is in the subways.
Yeah.
That you're probably saying to yourself, "Come on." They're on there, the musicians are on there, they're masked and they're singing at the top of their lungs and playing their instruments. If in the subway stations, they're doing the same thing. And I got to tell you, it's so fabulous. Okay. Because you say to yourself, yeah, this is what it's about.
Yeah.
You don't need a stage. The world can be your stage.
The street art is phenomenal.
Thank you.
I came up to pay respects to the 9/11 memorial, and I was on a subway, and down there, and I've never seen a bucket drummer before.
Oh, they're great. Oh, you never. Wow.
Like face to face, I've never saw one, and this guy had like 8 buckets, and I was just like, I was amazed. And then I went up, I got on the track and rode to where I was going. Walked up to the first thing I smelled was the falafel when I got off of the train, and I was like, oh man. And then 2 blocks down was this awesome street artist that was just doing things with paint and these just cans and lids and just made this epic picture. I still have it somewhere in my studio. I'm like just blown away, like there's everything there, literally.
Right. But you know why, Ant-Man? Because everybody comes here still. I mean, a lot of my friends were the original, like from
Fresh
the
off
Keith
the
Haring
boat.
days, from the Madonna days, and their hearts still reach out for what New York was then. But I say, New York is still New York. You were up here when you saw the 9/11 memorial, when did you come?
That was probably 14
years ago.
No, 2014.
2014.
Yeah.
Okay. That's not long ago at all. And everything that you described is still going on because you know what? It's the next generation that comes along and creates the street art. If you go to Brooklyn, oh my gosh, the murals on the building, they're incredible. You can't believe like the level of talent, and it's still happening here. I always tell people I couldn't live anywhere else. I could work in LA definitely, and I want to work in LA, but I will always come back to New York. At the end of the day, I'm a New York girl. I wrote my book, She's the Last Model Standing, and it's available on Amazon. Little plug for the book there. But the truth of the matter is about She's the Last Model Standing. It is the story of my life coming to New York decades ago and being part of Studio 54 and meeting Andy Warhol and not knowing he was a great painter. And there was sort of things that happened to me, seeing Madonna, and she was like just another girl who was a singer, not impressed by her at all, because we all came at the same time. And yet when you look at Madonna, it's amazing. She is amazing. That is like to create work from that time period all the way to now. She's incredible.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely incredible. And for me to I was a kid from the Bronx meeting Andy Warhol. I mean, that wouldn't have been in the cars. I just knew he was this guy that made soup cans. And I remember growing up in the Bronx and my mother saying to me, that is not art. Soup cans aren't art. And then I meet him at Studio 54 and he offers me a role in a movie he was doing. I don't know if either of you have seen like Andy Warhol films, but they're really out there. He did one called Empire where he just had the camera on the actress's face for like half an hour and then like nothing happened. It was just like, it's like when you freeze on a live stream. He
Oh,
made a
yeah.
film out of it. I mean, it was incredible, but he offered to pay me with a painting. And I'm like, well, you know how it is when you're starting out. I'm like, no, I got bills to pay. I need to pay my rent. I could never be in your film for just a painting. So that was that.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Interesting.
It is really, really crazy. And one of the things I talk about in my book, I mean, I got my start. I was turned down by every model agency. My book is meant to be an inspiration, to anyone that ever wanted to try and do anything. I did not have an easy road. And I kept knocking on model agencies' doors and everything was wrong with me. I didn't have a look that they liked. I was always 10 pounds overweight. But you know what? I never let it stop me. And then I ended up getting finally taken by an agency and carving a niche for myself that I still have in this industry. So you both know, you're into the music world. Staying power is everything. Okay. And the disappointments, you know what is that saying? What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Yep. I can definitely attest to that. And I love sharing that with people. Anyone that's out there and trying to go for it, go for your dream. Okay. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. I always, you've learned about my background and all the different things that I do, that people have said to me, why do you do so many things? Why not?
Why
right?
not? Right.
Yeah, why not? It's out there. And I always tell people, I am not afraid of failing. During this whole pandemic, I was forced to reinvent myself. It started with pandemic cooking with Wendy. And then the second genius idea was to put together a live stream for the LGBTQ community on StreamYard called Triversity Talk, which going forward is going to be Diversity Talk. And there's 100 and some odd episodes of that show out there where I brought in, because live stream's great, you can bring in people from all over the country. I brought in film directors, gay dads from LA that were foster caring kids that were adopting them, surgeons that are helping people find their gender identity. I've interviewed so many people. That opportunity would have never happened unless I took the plunge. And for me, I'm not a technical person. Antman, you're talking about a board blowing up before the show started. You never had a board blow up and you got a new board?
Oh, I've had quite a tumultuous situations. That was far from the worst. But right in the crunch time, with 5 minutes to go before Roxy says we're gonna go live, and the board goes,
and the board goes dead.
And I all of a sudden had to improvise, and I'm glad I always have a B and a C. Like, that was always my thing.
Plan B, plan C. You are a smart person.
Always. Like, you got to. I mean, you have to. Like, this industry, what we're in and what we're talking about is 5 minutes and you're late. Like 2 minutes, you're late. You need to be on it. Like, you 15 minutes early. No. Like an hour.
Oh my gosh, you are a person after my own heart. And I totally love that. But for me, who had no technical ability, swear to God, I didn't know what a board was. I do know what it is now. I had no idea what a board was, had no idea really what a live stream was.
It's a big step.
One of the songs I wrote the song Frozen by Madonna. You're frozen when I wrote a parody. I'll just give you a few lines of it. I sit alone in my room, a corporate meeting connected to Zoom. I'm frozen when my mouth's not moving. And that's what it's about, those horrible moments when you pixelate or your guest all of a sudden freezes or something goes wrong. And I've had to learn how to do these live streams. And to this day, let's see, my newest show, If These Walls Could Talk, that I host with Tim Moss, we have 70 episodes of that. I've interviewed major music people, authors, journalists, entertainers. It's been so cool. And I've had, even with that show, the snafu, the rapper who you bring on your show, who does the worst thing possible any guest can do. They show up in a car, and
Oh
it's
man. Oh man. Trust
right.
and believe. I know I've been there
Roxy,
producing.
I am so sure you've been there.
Way too
I
many.
don't care if it's a Rolls Royce. That's not going to help me. And you say to your guests, I need for you to pull over now. I'm like, we're going to take you off this stream. You go find a place to park the car, and then we'll bring you back on. That kind of stuff really used to flip me out. You know what? It doesn't anymore. So it's all been a learning curve. And I love podcasting. I love doing my own podcast. I love being on other people's podcasts. But none of that existed for me before. So this is what we learn. We learn that we have to go with the flow, roll with the punches, and find out what's live out there.
And just go for it.
You have to go for it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I wanted to ask you, Wendy. So, you talked about how hard it was for you coming up and going through, and still to this day, you fight your battles to get through.
Totally.
What would be some of the advice that you would give to some of the ladies today? Because obviously when you started, things were a lot different to where they are now. What would be some of the advice that you would give then? And then what would be some advice you'd give now?
My advice that I would have given then, okay, that doesn't happen now. We didn't have the Me Too movement, okay? So if the casting couch is very common, or photographers that wanted people to sleep with them for pictures. And my advice then was like, you got to be kidding. Never forget your own worth. All right. I always believe that, your self-worth is everything, and you can get to where you want to go as long as you keep your eye on the prize. And now I still follow that. I wake up every day, and things can be hard. I'm working a lot. All right. But I really put it out there. I've got 3 shows that are really worth major distribution on major platforms. All right. And that is what I'm pitching out there now. I'm a personality. I am extremely employable. Hire me for your project. People listen to the things that I say. It's been proven, and corporate clients, a lot of them get it. I definitely want it to be more mainstream, more TV oriented, more film oriented. To your ladies that are listening, keep your eye on the prize, no matter how discouraged you ever get. Take every little gold ring you can get off of that merry-go-round. All right. Celebrate any little successes you have. I'm giving you a lot of platitudes. Do not let anybody else rain on your parade. That took me a very long time to eliminate the people, the doomsdayers that are like, this didn't happen for you, so why are you doing this? God bless my mother. My mother had been a top model. She modeled with Lucille Ball when Lucille Ball was a model. And when I started modeling, I would say to my mother, oh, I went up for this job or that job. I didn't get it. I don't know what to do. And she would say to me, well, I don't know what to say because everything came easy for me. I would never give anybody that kind of advice. All right. Even the things that have come easy, we are all individuals. What might come easy for me may not come easy for you. So the best thing we can learn in our lives is, if you want it, go for it. All right. Cast a wide net out there. Open yourself up to new experiences. And the most important thing, do not be afraid of failing. All right. What is failure? Failure is like somebody else's opinion. And Lord knows people have opinions. I mean, getting back to social media, and Antman, this. People go on social media. My God, the things they write, the things they say, the things they tweet. So what do you say to yourself? It's just somebody's opinion. You have to say that, and that it doesn't matter. What matters is that you wake up every day and that you feel happy about starting your day. For me, that is the most important thing. And I know when I'm running myself ragged, because I wake up and I have this anxiety. I call it, like, I feel like I have a giant paper clip stuck to my brain. It's really weird, like something's bothering me. So I know that something's really off then, that that I have to take a breath, take a beat, maybe watch a film, do something that I wouldn't normally do. As you both know, I am an overachiever because that is my personality. I'm definitely driven. That's cool, to be that way. But what I've had to learn is, there are times that you need to slow down. I'm telling you, I just came off of Christmas. I didn't do squat over Christmas. I gave a really nice dinner party for my friends. Okay. All right. I wrote 2 parodies, and I did a song I wrote on someone's podcast last night, but that was fun. I didn't put myself like under any pressure, worrying about clients, worrying about, oh my God, what's 2022 going to be? I've got a bunch of gigs that I'm already booked on. And, there's the thing that's always in the back of your head. Oh, if Omicron, if everybody gets really sick, they're going to shut places down. And then you go into the what if they do. Biggest advice I can give to anyone: get rid of the what if.
Right.
Oh, and that is hard. That is a hard one.
It is, for sure. That's one that haunts me for sure.
Are you a what if person?
Yeah.
Big time.
I'm always trying to analyze and jump around all those what ifs and pre-plan for something,
I'm the co-host. I can say that. Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
always trying to be precautious, and
Well, that's what I love about her, though. You have to have, I think it's perfect, though, in a podcast situation, having a co-host that's like that, because she keeps me in that zone. Like, maybe, like, always, like, I'm always like, so I it's never.
Well, you know what? You said it. You have your plan B and your plan C. And that's really smart to do. But Roxy, I'm sure you've noticed, like, when you start looking at those what if variables, and sometimes things run amok, and it doesn't matter how perfect you are, it's going to run amok anyway, because that is just life.
Yeah.
The thing any of us can do is, you throw your hands up and you say, okay, universe, I'm listening. Now, what am I supposed to do next?
Yep. Sometimes it is what it is, kind of a situation, and
Right.
It's like you said, go with the flow, and you got to make things happen,
Right.
no matter what curveball is thrown at you.
Teresa, follow Tim Moss. Get the going live notifications every Wednesday, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah, let's
yeah.
shout out to our chat here. We've got a big chat going on. We've got David here.
Dave and Kat, what's going on?
Carrie and Teresa.
Kisses to Teresa.
Love her.
She's the most wonderful person in the world. She is so positive and so supportive, and I love her to death. Merry Christmas, Teresa, and have a wonderful 2022.
Shout out to Furry Wiper there. That's amazing. I have a trans child. So I can, and it sounds like so hard to say for me, because I'm just like, what we went through in bullying in school and what we experienced when we were kids, like, was bad then. But to have now what happens to these kids, and how fights are live streamed, and how all this other stuff is live streamed.
The amount of pressure on these kids, and to the person with the trans child, I do this show called Triversity Talk, and you can find it on my YouTube channel, Wendy Stuart TV. I've got a bunch of episodes on there about trans. I interviewed 2 people that ran a trans support group for parents of trans children. Now, depending on where you are in the country, it's a lot easier in some places. I'm in the Northeast, I'm in New York, I'm in New Jersey, I'm in Pennsylvania. We have a lot more resources, so that, these kids are getting just support, because, as you both talked about, the bullying thing is terrible. And you're right. Like, when we were in school, we didn't have the internet. It's awful how kids can be bullied because of the internet. So you have to, as a parent, and you're both parents, and my daughter is 29, but I remember when she was in school, as parents, we all look to protect our children. All right. That is just pivotal from whatever we can. So support groups for parents are absolutely really key. Absolutely.
Yeah.
We were talking about, possibly a friend of mine and I were talking about doing like something called the Dad Cast, where we get perspective from dads, because we were talking in a conversation, a few dads that we know in the music scene have kids that are trying to find themselves,
Right.
and the dads are having trouble because the dads came up with a old-fashioned, old-school upbringing that really wasn't too hip or open to change. So we've talked about bouncing around the idea of doing like a dad cast geared around dads and trying to help dads hone in some of those things without losing the dad. Like, you know.
Yeah, man, I already thought of a title for it. First of all, I think it's brilliant. All right, because you're bringing up something that there's a lot of mom stuff, but you're right. You grew up with a different set of standards in a different time. And you can call it, pull yourself up by your bootstraps or tough love or whatever. Your kids are growing up in this time, and this is really brave new world.
Yeah.
What could be better than to have a show called Dad Talk, all right, where dads talk about the things that they're having to deal with their kids? Because what I've learned about parents that have kids getting together, you're going to hear something from the other dad. He's going to hear something from you, and together you will find a solution. Also, it makes the problems not so isolating.
Right.
Your kid's exploding. Your kid's exploding. Who do you talk to?
Mm-hmm.
You talk to another dad, or if you're a mom, you'll talk to another mom.
Yeah.
So I think this is really, really important. I'm a big part of an LGBTQ organization in Pennsylvania. And the problem with our kids 10 years ago when we first started was the bullying thing. It was coming out. Believe it or not, coming out's not a big deal now. That's not the big deal.
They're accepting these days. Yeah.
It's not the big deal now. Okay. And we were like losing kids because they weren't coming to our center because they really didn't need us that much. Now, and this is to the parent that checked in here tonight, kids that are transitioning, yes, there are more and more of them, but a lot of schools are not set up for that. They're not set up for, the child that's been biologically identified at birth as male, and that child, everything about that child from the time they're born is female. And that is something that you cannot change. You cannot. And it's, what? It's not like a phase. It's not something the child's going to grow out of. So then what does the parent do? What is a parent that's in a rural area that doesn't have the resources? My organization really does service upstate New York, Pennsylvania, and New Jersey, and we are able to put people with other people. And I guess, we started out earlier talking about we can't change the world, but that's another example, right, of being able to help other people, spreading a message, sharing a thought, even sharing, advice to each other. I want you to go ahead and do that dad show. I think that is brilliant.
Yeah.
I've been nervous. I've been really nervous to bring it up. In fact, tonight's the first night I've actually talked about it.
Oh my God, I'm so glad.
And like, because of the LGBTQ thing, and because dads are kind of, I don't know, like single dads get a hard time, dads in general, a hard time, but single dads have a hard time. And then, there's other things where, like, I come from sexual abuse. I was sexually abused when I was a kid. So, like, having that conversation and being a sexually abused father with an LGBTQ kid, like, trying to face that and try to be comfortable with that, just coming as being a father, having a daughter, and being sexually abused myself, having to change her and like be in that environment and be dad and not try to think about, oh, am I touching my daughter too much? Am I not doing this? Am I whatever? Like changing her in public was a big thing because I'm like, who's watching? Like, am I spending too much time? What am I doing? Like, it was.
I love what you're saying. You are really bringing out, not only very real stuff. Believe me, there's got to be, at least 10 other people that you know that have had the sexual abuse as a child experience? My God, I'm thinking in my head of the number of people I know. And as a parent, that would run through your head. So guess what? You put a podcast together where you're not only putting that out there, it helps other parents just to have people on your show where we need to bring these things out in the open. You know, I mentioned before when I was modeling, we didn't have the Me Too thing. So people would approach you about, you know, sleeping with them or whatever. And then we all know what hit the fan a few years ago. And then it was huge. Then everybody who ever propositioned anyone was being outed, and, you know, and they lost their power in Hollywood, who I would have never thought that would have ever happened. But you see, it did happen. And it started with people having the right to open their mouths and give voice. Every single time any one of us either talks on a podcast or speaks in public, we are giving voice and we're reaching people out there. So my New Year's resolution for Antman is to do this new podcast.
Even our listeners are saying, Teresa says it'll be a hit, and Fury says you should do it, love. Yeah.
I'll do it if all y'all do it with me. We'll all do it. Like, we'll do it together. Like, I need somebody to hold my hand across the street.
Oh, you got this, Aunt.
Yeah, you got this.
Wow.
Wow, Aunt is breaking out in a sweat. I can feel it all the way through the live stream.
Yeah.
Aunt is in the hot seat.
So Fury says, yes, use our voices, stand strong. And that's
right.
And more that's it, with our topic of everybody standing strong together, but also Antman, use your voice, stand strong with your, you know, dad talk.
Before we get out the door, I want to ask you, Wendy, I cover the asses of the masses. I know we're over time and Roxy's going to yell at me, but man, that is epic. Can we talk about
brilliant.
that? Yeah,
I came up with that. I cover the asses of the masses. So what does that mean? So one of the types of modeling that I do besides print ads and fashion, I am a fit model. And most people don't know what that is because that's something that is designers know what a fit model is. I am the person that tries on the clothes before they go into production. So Roxy, when you go into a store, what's your favorite store to shop in?
These days, Kohl's.
Okay, you like Kohl's. I've worked with Kohl's, and I don't know what size you are, okay? You don't have to just tell me what size you are on air. That's fine.
No.
The reason I ask you this is because I fit what is an average American size 8, okay? So that's women with curves, and we call it a universal fit. So Roxy, if you are a size 8, and you go into Kohl's and, you know, you have a brand that you like in Kohl's, somebody in particular, and you go in and try that garment on in a dressing room, that garment will fit you because I am going to be the person that after they've put it on a 16-year-old on a runway that's a size 2, I have to come up with the measurements and how the fabric is going to drape and how you might like your neckline to look. I have to translate it into fit from American women. And that's what fit modeling is. So chances are in some of your favorite brands, I've been the person that tried on that garment. And, you know, we get our things manufactured and we work with designers and I put it on before before you go into that store, I try that garment on and I say, oh my God, the neck is choking. Every time I go to move my arm, the armhole cuts. These are all the things like you wouldn't think, or if it's a jacket, I feel like I'm in a straitjacket. I can't move my arms. So before you go and get it in the store, my job is to make sure when you go in and buy it, you can do all those things, that neckline's comfortable, that armhole's not cutting. If it's a jacket, that you can move in it. So I'm a fit model. And the reason I came up with I cover the asses of the masses is because I also fit underwear. And, you know, people think, well, how do you fit underwear?
Well,
let me just tell you something. That is, it's as intricate as fitting a dress or anything else. The worst thing a woman can have, and Roxy will attest to this, is to have a wedgie.
Oh man.
That is the worst. Or you're sitting in a bar and you're on a stool, okay, and your underwear is either popping up or falling down too low. Completely unacceptable. I know how to make underwear that, will just fit your shape. Okay. And it's underwear that stays put even when you're moving. Oh, I just thought of another one. That's good. That's as good as the S's and the M's. I create underwear that stays put even when you're moving.
There
So
you go.
that's what fit
I'm
modeling.
gonna send my wife. I'm gonna send my wife has the thighs and hips. Like she just can't. She always says I'm disproportionate. I'm like, no, I'm like, you just can't find your right size. And
Right.
like she always like, I can't find it. I can't find it. She gets so mad. So I'm gonna send her your way. You can.
Yeah, well, please tell her I have thighs and hips too. Remember I told you I've never been like stick skinny. I'm an average American size 8, which is, I've got curves, I've got shape. And I want you, when you put on anything that I've tried on, I want to make sure that it fits, that you feel beautiful in it. That's the most important thing. I mean, Lord knows, how many things do we have a choice in nowadays? Well, you have a choice in how you look. You can get up every day and you can pick something out of your closet that makes you feel like $1,000,000.
And it's a
And
huge impact on your day, on
thank
just
you.
how something makes you feel.
Right. Right. Does that work for you, Antman? I mean, do you pick something out that makes you feel pretty?
Like, so there are moments, I ain't gonna lie, like there are moments, as a man, like you just got like, it's uncomfortable, like whatever. And yeah, and I'm willing to bet that there's the larger number of men that don't wear underwear to the men that do. I bet you it's because of this complications. There's so many complications men have too. So
tight underwear.
I got to tell you, my friend Nick, he's going to kill me for outing him on this show, but my friend Nick Lyon doesn't wear underwear because he said a lot. They don't make it with like the pouch correctly. That's right. There you go. See, Roxy, we don't have to worry about that. We have other things we can worry about. But
Right.
yeah, and you agree, right? The pouch is not correct.
no, that's all I'm gonna say about that.
Yeah, there you go.
Child program.
Keep it clean.
That's my way out. No, but it was great to have you tonight, Wendy. You
Thank
are
you.
epically awesome. I'm gonna hit subscribe on every piece of material that I can hit subscribe on tonight, and I just wow. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you.
Okay, and really great being with the two of you here. And yeah, I can look for this on YouTube, right?
Absolutely.
Fabulous.
And if you can tell our listeners how they can find you and look you up, that would be awesome.
Thank you. Absolutely. I call that giving my handles, and I have more handles than a dresser. So you can find me on YouTube under Wendy Stuart TV, where you can find Pandemic Cooking with Wendy, If These Walls Could Talk, my entertainment show, and my LGBTQ show called Triversity Talk. Okay, then you can hop on over to Facebook, find me under Wendy Stuart. Then you can go to Instagram under She's the Last Model Standing. My book is on Amazon. It's called She's the Last Model Standing. You can get either a Kindle version or this soft cover. Well, it's kind of like, it's good paper. I wasn't chintzy on it. And you can also, don't tweet a lot. It's just, I spend so much time on social media, but you can find me on Twitter under Wendy Stuart or under She's the Last Model Standing. Why do I have 2 Twitter handles? I don't even know. Thank you so much. I had the best time here.
Wonderful. And don't forget your website as well.
Oh, Roxy, where would I be without you? You are the source of support here tonight. www.wendystuarttv.com.
All right. So one last thing before we let you go, Wendy, is a word of advice to the audiences and the listeners on something that you have in your heart that you want to share.
So no matter how you feel about what's going on out there right now, these are crazy times. Don't let it stop you from ever achieving your dream. Okay. Actually, when the world is all topsy-turvy, I always tell people that's the best time to make your move because no one can ever stop a moving target.
Oh, wonderful. I love that. All right. Thank you, Wendy, so much.
Thank you both so much. And thank you to our audience who tuned in tonight.
Yes.
Teresa Saban, I love you. You're the best. Fury, really nice meeting you. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Bye-bye, Wendy.
Bye-bye.
Happy New Year.
Wow.
Love it. I love it. That was
Wow.
such an interesting and amazing conversation with her.
Yeah, I was like, this is the longest we've ever went over. Like, I'm glad we went over on this show. This show was worth it.
I know.
Absolutely
It felt
worth
like it was only 10 minutes, though, to be
it.
honest.
Yeah, like, sorry, boss, but this was awesome.
Yeah. Teresa says it was awesome.
Man. So I don't know. Rox. I don't know. I might. I don't know. I might.
You might. You should. I got your back. I will help you the whole way. Like, I'm not going to lead you into it.
Yeah, you don't need to lead me. I'll jump. I
will be there monitoring you, though, making sure that
I gotta figure it out. We'll have to talk about the logistics of it.
Yes, Teresa, she is very inspiring. Yes,
she is very much. Yeah, like she brought a lot out of me in the interview that wasn't my to give out. I didn't want to give out a lot of that information. It just kind of fell out.
Teresa's aunt do it. Dave said that was great. This was great. Yes, thanks, David.
So coming into the new year, first and foremost, we'll let you guys know what's going on, man. So we are still doing RA Nation, and Roxy is bouncing around the idea of some new material on her end. I'm bouncing around some new material on my end, but all is not lost. RA Nation is going to continue kicking ass, but you're just going to have a shitload more content to look at. You're going to see faces a hell of a lot more. That's all.
We got to come in from all angles.
Whoa, we got asses for the masses, folks.
Love it.
Love it. I want to ask her if I can just put on a t-shirt. It'd be great. I would wear it every show right here. Asses for the masses. Yes.
Awesome.
But so as far as guests go, we will keep you in a loop with a whole complete new list. We have New Year's to get through, man. Thank you guys so much for supporting us through 2021. I can't believe I'm saying I'll see you in 22.
Yeah, see you next year. Yeah. So as Teresa just said, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year.
Welcome to Walmart. Get your shit and get the book out. Happy New Year. I'll see you in 2022.
And I want to shout out W4CY, Talk 4 TV, Music Familiar Productions, and Standout Serpents. Because without those four, we wouldn't be here. So
we missed our animal this week.
Well, so you started the shop, and I've got the animal store open, and all my animals are there. They're not in my studio area right now, so I can't just go pull one out. So transitioning.
Okay.
But please make sure you go check us out, Standout Serpents.
Yes, awesomeness. Thank you, Kirk. I appreciate you, man. Shout out to Kirk, Standout Serpents. Love you, bro.
Yeah, we got a lot going on, so make sure you tune in next week.
Like, share, subscribe. Like,
share, subscribe. So, all right. I think
we're
into the show. So, yeah. See you next.
I'm all ready. I'm ready for 2022, Roxy. Let's do this.
Well, yes. Yeah, we got so much happening. So it's going to be great. So hang in there, audience. We'll see you next week. Have a good one.
Later, guys.